What if Earth turned into a giant desert? Before we begin, hit that subscribe button, because this story will take you to a world unlike anything you've ever seen, where survival is a daily battle and hope feels as fragile as a drop of water in the sand. The sun never rested. Its relentless heat beat down on the cracked surface of the Earth. A globe transformed into a barren wasteland. Cities that once thrived with life, skyscrapers, parks, and bustling streets, were now skeletal ruins, half buried in sand. Winds howled like the cries of forgotten ghosts, carrying grains of dust that stung the eyes and choked the throat. Earth had changed, and we had no choice but to change with it. No one knew exactly when the transformation began. One year, the rivers started shrinking. Another, the oceans receded as if swallowed by some invisible hand. Storms became erratic, violent and short-lived, and the greenery slowly wilted away. Forests turned to ash, crops failed, and humanity's hubris was laid bare. I remember stepping outside for the first time after the world turned. My boots crunched on the dry earth. Every breath tasted of sand. In the distance, a caravan of survivors moved like ghosts across the dunes, carrying the precious cargo of water and supplies. Life had become a journey of constant motion, following the fragile paths of survival. Communities transformed. Cities became sand fortresses. Solar panels and wind turbines were lifelines of energy, and water became the most valuable currency. People learned to live in scattered enclaves, bound together not by borders but by necessity. Knowledge of rivers, forests, and fertile lands became mythology, whispered in the flickering glow of fire pits. Children born in the desert had never seen green. Sand and sun were their only companions. The desert was merciless, yet it had its own beauty. Sunsets painted the sky in fiery oranges and deep reds, spreading across endless dunes like rivers of molten gold. The wind carved intricate patterns in the sand, shifting constantly as if the desert itself were alive. And at night, stars shimmered so vividly that they seemed almost close enough to touch, a cold and silent reminder of the vast universe pressing down on the barren earth. But survival demanded vigilance. Sandstorms could bury a village in hours. The relentless sun left no mercy. People adapted. Underground farms, fog collectors, and solar-powered water condensers became the tools of life. Every day was a test, every meal a triumph. Raiders sometimes attacked, desperate for water or food, and the weak had little chance. We learned to travel in groups, sharing knowledge and guarding each other against the cruelty of the land. One day, I stumbled upon an ancient library half buried in sand. Its doors were warped, its books brittle and yellowed, but inside were remnants of the world we had lost, maps of green forests, photographs of rivers, tales of thriving cities. I realized then that we were not merely survivors. We were keepers of memory, custodians of a world that had vanished. Perhaps one day, with patience, innovation, and hope, life could return. But for now, we walked among the dunes, dreaming of rain that might never fall. Our journey took us to the edge of the great desert sea, a place where the sand stretched farther than the eye could see. There, I met other survivors, a family who had built an entire village inside a canyon, protected from the winds, a wanderer who had discovered a hidden oasis with water so clear it reflected the stars, and a group of engineers who were constructing massive solar towers to harvest energy for a community that had no electricity. Each encounter reminded me that even in this lifeless world, human ingenuity and resilience shone like sparks in the dark. The desert was alive in unexpected ways. At dawn, sandworms, massive creatures that had adapted to the arid world, stirred beneath the dunes. At night, the wind revealed ruins from a past civilization, ancient monuments half swallowed by sand, like the bones of a sleeping giant. And always, there was the sandstorm, a looming, unstoppable force, capable of erasing villages and rewriting the landscape in hours. We learned to navigate the desert by reading the winds, the shape of the dunes, and the distant shimmer of heat on the horizon. Every oasis became a haven, every rock formation a temporary shelter. Nights were cold, and the stars were the only companions we could trust. I remember huddling with strangers around small fires, sharing stories of the green world that once was. Some stories were real, others imagined, but all were threads connecting us to a past we could no longer touch. One fateful day, a massive sandstorm struck. It came without warning, a wall of choking dust and howling wind that consumed everything in its path. Our caravan scattered, each group struggling to survive. Visibility was zero, and the sun became invisible behind a thick orange haze. We clung to rocks, to each other, to life itself, as the storm reshaped the desert. By nightfall, we emerged, battered but alive, only to find the dunes had shifted, swallowing our old paths and forcing us to chart new routes. Amidst all this, hope persisted. Some began experimenting with desert agriculture, growing plants in enclosed systems powered by solar energy. Engineers designed devices to extract water from underground reservoirs. Every small success became a triumph in a world that had forgotten abundance. Life, though fragile, began to reclaim its space in the emptiness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the temperature dropped sharply. I wrapped my cloak tighter and gazed at the horizon, watching shadows stretch across the dunes. Tomorrow, the sun would rise again, relentless as ever, and we would continue our pilgrimage across the desert. Every step was a story, every breath a victory, and every night a chance to dream of a world that might one day bloom again. If you've survived this journey with me, don't forget to subscribe, because countless what-if worlds are waiting, each more incredible and terrifying than the last. Stick around because the adventure has only just begun.